Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I've got a different video than my norm today. I wanted to do a video on greatest horror movie actor performances because I don't think horror movie genre really ever gets the recognition it deserves by the the Academy Awards and Oscars. I mean, they really never consider horror as even a genre worth giving outstanding performances, but there's been so many outstanding performances in horror that I just couldn't help but do this video. And I hope this video will spur others to think about this subject and maybe do their own list. So I've picked out 16 titles. I could have done more, but I got down to 16. So let me go through this list and see what you think. As honorable mention, number 16, Oliver Reed's performance in Curse of the Werewolf, directed by Terence Fisher, is my favorite werewolf performance. Not just for his look, the look of the werewolf, but really for his the story and his build up to becoming the werewolf is fantastic. You really are bought into Oliver Reed has this curse upon him. Fantastic. And I love Lon Chaney Jr., but for me, Oliver Reed is the man as far as werewolf movies. All right, number 15. I got to go with Isabelle Adjani's performance in Possession from 1981. Wow. I mean, if you've seen her subway scene where she just lives the role, I mean, it's incredible. I don't understand how she didn't get an award for her performance in this. Totally an immersive performance and outstanding. Isabelle Adjani. She's going to come up again in pretty soon here. Next up is a film that I didn't pull out of my films, but we'll talk about it, and that is Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer. Michael Rooker's performance as a serial killer is one of the greatest of all times. I think the guy should have been nominated. I mean, I believed it. I mean, the man made me believe he was a serial killer. It's a fantastic movie and a fantastic performance by Michael Rooker. Certainly could argue he could even be higher up on the list. Next up is the best film of the last 10 years. Best horror film, anyway. Toni Collette's performance in Hereditary. I tell you what, she scared the shit out of me. She really, I haven't been scared in a while, but this movie truly scared the shit out of me when I first saw it. And her performance is unbelievable. She left it on the, I mean, she left her heart in this role. 10 out of 10. Another film and another performance that really, she is the movie, and that's Mia Farrow in Rosemary's Baby. You really believe that this woman's going through this. And Mia Farrow's performance, I think, kind of typifies what I'm looking for when I'm picking these actors and actresses out for their best performance, and that is, I'm looking for somebody that's not just acting where it comes naturally to them, but that they're living the role. And you really believe, in my opinion, you really believe Mia Farrow is living this situation in Rosemary's Baby. Fantastic, 10 out of 10. I would contrast this with, say, Jack Nicholson's performance in The Shining, which is fantastic, hands down, no doubt about it. But the reason it's not in my list, I'm going to explain it right now, is that Jack Nicholson, in my opinion, was being Jack Nicholson. I don't think he was doing anything extraordinary in order to be in that role. You know, he carried the movie, and for a lot of people, if they're going to make this list, he's going to be on the list. But for me, he's not on the list just because I felt like he was just being himself, and it came so naturally. He didn't have to do anything beyond the norm to give that performance. He's just that good an actor. Next up, is, um, shoot, I don't have this one either. I got it. I just didn't pull it out. Candyman. Tony Todd's performance as Candyman is one of the best performances in horror, and certainly the best of the '90s, which was really of a dearth of decent horror films. Candyman stands out, and I got to give it to Tony Todd. He should have gotten an award for that performance, definitely. All right, now we're going to get into the top 10, and for me, number 10 is going to go to Klaus Kinski for Nosferatu. Max Schreck's performance in the original is fantastic as well, and I certainly wouldn't argue with anybody that put it on their list. But for me personally, Klaus's performance is just a little bit better. And this film is one of the few of a very short list of films that I think is better than the original. Nosferatu. Next up, I didn't pull this one out of the list either, but this is another film that's better than the original. Kurt Russell's performance in The Thing. I mean, without Kurt Russell in that movie, I'm not sure we would have the masterpiece that we have. And that's the distinction I'm looking for when I'm trying to pick these acting performances out. Love the movie, and Kurt Russell, like I say, I just can't imagine that movie without Kurt Russell. Another film I can't imagine would be Bela Lugosi's performance in Dracula. It's a crime that this guy didn't get an award for his performance in Dracula. He is Dracula for most people. Christopher Lee's, basically his portfolio of performances of Dracula over the course of his career is, in my opinion, the best of anyone. But for a single performance of Dracula, nothing can beat Bela Lugosi. And as a kid, he is what got me into horror. So yeah, Bela Lugosi. And then to follow that up, what could you not have but Boris Karloff and Frankenstein? There's nobody that I can even think of that even comes close to the Frankenstein monster portrayal. Boris Karloff is Frankenstein's monster. I mean, we've been waiting, 100 years now, and we're probably going to wait another 100 years. That's how great his performance was. Next up is a film that you won't be surprised to see on my list, but you'll be surprised for the reason why. The Exorcist, which I think is the greatest horror film of all time. Not because of Linda Blair, but because of Jason Miller. The film, to me, it's a horror film, but it's really about, in my opinion, what propels the film is Jason Miller and his performance as the conflicted priest who has lost his faith and he regains it. That's what's driving the movie. That's what made the movie so compelling for me. Is he really felt like he was just having such a hard time with his profession, with his faith, and then he's thrust into this situation where his faith is in your face, called into question because of a possessed little girl. I mean, it's a 10 out of 10. The best horror movie of all time. But another film that without Jason Miller, I'm not sure that you could say that. Next up, we're in the top 5, and I'm going to give it to Duane Jones for Night of the Living Dead. This is the film, of course, that set the standard for zombie films, but in terms of the movie overall, in terms of what made the film compelling, I got to go with Duane Jones. He was fantastic in this, and I'm just not sure we would have what we have today without Duane Jones. Now we're into number 4, and this one would be a little bit of a shocker, I think. Robert Mitchum in Night of the Hunter. Now you could argue this isn't really a horror film. It's not in your face horror. It's along the lines of psychological. I mean, Robert Mitchum plays this baddie, basically a crook that dresses up as a priest to kind of disarm people and then he does what he does, his business. And you know, he's a bad dude. Even though they don't show it on screen, even though you don't have any gruesome kills or anything like that, you can tell he's a bad dude. And it's kind of horrific when he's chasing the family and the kids around. Yeah, his performance is unbelievable. Charles Laughton, who is my favorite actor of all time, directed the film. His only time at the directing chair, and he did a fantastic job. I love Night of the Hunter. All right, we're down to 3, and number 3 goes to my favorite actor of all time, Charles Laughton, in Hunchback of Notre Dame. While I love Lon Chaney Sr.'s performance, for me, Charles Laughton hits all the notes. And he put himself, again, this is another situation where it's not just acting naturally because you're just so good at it. Charles Laughton had to suffer for his roles. He was very, very method. I've read books about him, and he put his heart and soul in this. And you got all the range of emotions of this character, Quasimodo, in his performance. He should have been nominated for an award. The movie should have gotten an award, quite honestly. Fantastic. Next up is another film that I probably will surprise people, and that is M. Peter Lorre's magnificent portrayal of a child killer. And his last 20-minute speech is some of the most compelling cinema of all time. If you haven't seen M, do yourself a favor and check it out. As far as performances, Peter Lorre's performance in Mad Love, it would be top 20 for me, just as an FYI. And then finally, Anthony Perkins in Psycho. How in the world did this man not get a nomination or award for his performance in Psycho? My God. Single greatest performance in horror movie history was Anthony Perkins in Psycho, in my opinion. I just, what a movie and what a performance. Well, guys, that is my list. I hope that you might be encouraged to do your own list. If you have any thoughts, feel free to share them in the comments below, and appreciate you watching.